Hello and welcome to the MvFF Cardiff Season 10 Week 9 dashboard. So, onto our matches. We had the Plumpkins versus Rockford County. Plumpkins took a borrow today as well, so thanks very much to JC for stepping in there. So JC's goals for the Plumpkins obviously won't count because they'll be outside of his normal match, but 5 of them. 5 for Kieran, 1 for Phil, and then Jonathan for the other side scored. Man of the match for Jonathan, man of the week for John, Kieran man of the match, Ben man of the week. I went around that different places, didn't I? 12-9 combined score win for the Plumpkins. Athraigwydd versus Watford. Really good match here, 9-5 with a 14-4 combined there. Rice Puddings was 5-0 up for Rice Puddings at one point. And Fenerbahce, exactly the same as last week, brought it back. But this week they didn't bring it back to a draw, they bring it back to a win. And Rice Puddings beat them in the reverse fixture, so that will have felt good. I think on aggregate, they are 7-all over the 2 matches, so that's good to see. 16-9 combined win for Fenerbahce, which will, as we'll look at later, makes a big difference in terms of the table. And Joey with his 5%, so shout out to Joey. Joey added only milestone today with Joey. But if you look at that for 9 weeks of the season, that's pretty darn good. Team attendance. So team attendance was very low this week. I think people have seen the sun and have turned up. Get yourself here, even if I think there's a few people not turning up because maybe they're up, maybe they're this, maybe they're that. Don't worry about that. Just get yourself here. There was one person in particular who turned up this week. Has put on 1.4. But next week it'll be so much easier. That first week you come put on, get back as soon as possible. Don't let it descend. But some good losses overall. Rockford County with just the top losses today. That was superb work. 5.9 kilos down. Close behind were Plumpkins, Athraigwydd and Rice Puddings. Fenerbahce, no slouches either there. No one hit their 20 or 40. And onto the team of the week. We had Kieran, JC, Igor, Panos, Dai, Ben and Darty, which means we've got, I had 3 greens. So 3 greens, so they'll get a bonus goal next week. And Kieran from the Oranges earns his team a bonus goal next week for being the top loser. On to the top scorers. This looks, for the league, certainly this looks out of reach now with JC 8 goals ahead. Still could happen mathematically, but it looks like JC is going to win the league top scorer. And on to next week, before we look at the pitches, before we look at the tables. Next week, we're going to have Watford versus Rice Puddings, televised. We didn't get the camera up today, and that was because, I was chasing around a few people looking for people to fill in sheets. I was doing a few things, plus the match kicked off early for some reason, so I'm going to speak to the ref about that because Igor nearly missed his match. We need to keep to the times. But that's what's happening next week. So Fenerbahce versus Plumpkins, Rockford County versus Athraigwydd. And it's Fenerbahce and Athraigwydd you want to look at. We'll come back to up the diff. Because when we look at the tables, on weight and goals, we've got Fenerbahce just ahead. 2 points ahead. With a good goal difference. So, win, lose or draw, they've got a good chance of still being there. But obviously a draw or a win will definitely get them there without having to worry. So on that second match, if we go back to that, if we go back to this, if Fenerbahce beat the Plumpkins overall, it could have decided the title before the Athraigwydd actually get on there. On the pitch, it's even closer, but actually Athraigwydd are in front on goal difference and on number of wins. I do believe this table goes on number of wins as well. So we're going to have to look at the algorithm on that because it looks like they're ahead on goal difference, but I've seen in other leagues it actually goes on number of wins. which is a strange one to do. It's a strange one to do. I will check that. But also, Plumpkins aren't out of that on the pitch. If both of these, if they beat Fenerbahce, they'll go to 15 points. A Ddraigwydd draw, then Plumpkins could do it. Draw or lose, Plumpkins could still do it. So let's keep going for that before we hit into our cup season. But the scales is all done. Well done to Fenerbahce. There are scales winners in MvFF Cardiff season 10. Onto the top scorer table, Leighton Mitchell is right up there. But if you look at JC's percentage here, 9.97. That most probably will come next week, which will put him up to 12 points automatically. It should push him to the top of the top scorer, but for them now, it's lovely Leighton. Joey, not out of it. Doing absolutely brilliant at the moment. Obviously, these loss percentages are based on loss through this season, all right? So it won't be your total loss, but it's worth having a look on there where you are. And that's it. Just got to say, see you next week. Up the diff.